Everybody, welcome back to my channel. Yes, today is Thursday, and what a day already. But let's start great before we get into the title. Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm your host here.
Guy in the chair.
He said it!
And today, for Thursday, we'll go with Critical Drinker with confirmation of MCU. So let's hear about Enjoy.
Oh dear, 2025 hasn't exactly been a bumper year for the MCU, with back-to-back flops in the shape of Brave New World and Thunderbolts. And yes, with less than 400 million at the global box office and its theatrical run all but over, even the most die-hard shills have been forced to concede that Thunderbolts is absolutely a flop. And call me crazy here, but something tells me that Ironheart isn't going to turn things around for them.
You've bitten off a hell of a lot more than you can chew. I could chew a lot.
That means that everything now rests on the Fantastic Four, the third attempt in the past 20 years to make Marvel's first family work on the big screen. And I think it's fair to say things aren't exactly shaping up well for them. I mean, it started out well enough. The first trailer came out to a mostly decent reception that actually generated some positive buzz for a change. Imagine that in 2025. People were appreciating the comic-accurate costumes, the charming retro-futuristic 1960s aesthetic, the emphasis on family and teamwork, and the prospect of a Galactus that was more than just a giant cosmic space farts. Great stuff, Marvel. After half a decade of generic, forgettable slop, the MCU finally seemed to be doing something with a unique look and feel again. They were fully embracing their comic book origins, goofy costumes and all, instead of trying to make everything look cool and slick and modern. Maybe, after a quarter of a century of failed attempts, someone might actually do justice to the Fantastic Four. But leave it to Marvel to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. The problem started out small at first, like the casting of Reed Richards, which turned out to be trickier than expected. Apparently, the studio approached at least 3 other actors to play Reed, and they all turned it down. But why would they do such a thing? Who in their right mind would turn their back on a leading role in a big-budget Marvel movie with a huge paycheck at the end of it? Well, if I was a cynical man, I'd say it's because they wrote Reed to be a weak, cowardly pussy who gets bossed around by his far more powerful and assertive wife for most of the movie, and the leading men of Hollywood are getting almost as tired of playing characters like that as we are of watching them. But then, like a knight in rainbow-coloured armour, a saviour arrived to take up the mantle. That's right, it was Pedro, I'll appear in literally anything Pascal, an actor that clearly saw the meme about him taking on far too many roles and said... But hey, who knows? Maybe Pedro would buck the career-long trend of taking on high-profile but inappropriate roles and deliver an absolutely killer performance as Reed Richards. But then there was the casting of Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, who's 38 in real life and somehow manages to look even older on screen. But, you know, Pascal is like 50, so it would have been pretty weird to pair him up with some hot young 25-year-olds. Nothing to worry about so far, so let's keep going, shall we? Then Vanessa revealed in an interview with Entertainment Weekly back in April that this movie was going to explore the gender politics of Sue Storm and women's place in 1960s culture. Fuck. Okay, sure. That kind of statement can mean a lot of different things. I mean, the film's set in the 1960s, which was a pretty important time for feminism and women's lib and all that other stuff, so I guess it would make sense to at least acknowledge it. Maybe she just means the movie will present an interesting contrast between the kind of expectations and questions that women in 1960s America were grappling with versus the modern-day MCU, where they basically act like obnoxious caricatures of men if they were written by 16-year-old gender studies graduates from Portland. So, fine, we're still hanging in there, I guess. Nothing that's going to spoil anyone's fun yet.
But wait! There's more!
Then there was the decision to make the Silver Surfer, one of the most iconic antagonists in all of the Marvel comics, into a female. Because of course...
Oh, come on!
But Drinker, you clueless connoisseur of comic calamities, I hear you say. If you read the Earth X limited run comic from 1999, you'd know that there's an alternate universe where Shala Bao becomes the Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Rads. Thank you, imaginary strawman that I used to awkwardly transition into my next point. There was indeed a female Silver Surfer in a limited run series set in an alternate reality from 25 years ago, so I guess that technically makes this lore accurate? Sure, let's just go with that. The point is, every time another one of these revelations comes out, it became just a little bit harder to ignore what seemed to be a growing pattern. Like, if Marvel were trying to refute allegations that the MCU was taking over everything that they did, they were making life pretty hard for themselves.
But wait! There's
And then, last week, we began to hear reports of a test screening for the latest cut of the movie, where major details of both the plot and the ending were leaked. A test screening that basically confirmed everyone's suspicions. Now, I'm sorry for what I'm about to show you.
So,
Look, I said I'm sorry, okay? If there was another way to do this, I absolutely would.
how do I want to phrase this? Even though it's a team of one woman and 3 guys, I think that you're going to have a situation at the end of the movie where it's women who save the day. And you're like, why? Can't Reed at least be involved? You know, you're like, come on, man. You know, like,
It is
come on.
AMC.
right.
Eloquently phrased as always, Grace. Good job. I mean, if even one of the biggest Marvel shows on the planet is calling out your movie for being too girl bossy, you know you've got fucking problems. Anyway, the gist here is that the movie culminates with Sue Storm joining forces with the female Silver Surfer to defeat Galactus, with a little help from a superpowered baby, leaving the rest of the lads with, well, not a whole lot to do. Oh my goodness, it literally is the meme.
Girls get it done.
And all of this begs the rather obvious question. Why? Why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep pushing the same trope that clearly isn't working and hasn't for years now? Like, did nobody at the studio put up their hand and say, we've been doing this whole MCU thing for like 5 years now, nobody likes it, everyone's making fun of us, and it's losing us a shit ton of money. Can we maybe try something else now?
We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working. Then we've got to pander harder.
When I think of Marvel and their beloved girl bosses, I'm reminded of a junkie trying and failing to get clean. They know that what they've been doing is slowly killing them. They try hard to get away from it and find a better way of living, but somehow they always drift back into their old habits. By all accounts, the test audience was pretty unimpressed with the film, especially the decision to sideline 3 out of the 4 members of the team. I mean, the clue is in the title, lads. It's called the Fantastic Four. But who knows? Maybe there's still time for them to rework the ending, give the boys a chance to be heroes for a change, and ditch the girl boss who does everything trope once and for all. I hope for their sake they do, otherwise they might just find themselves with 3 flops in a row this year. My hopes, however, are not high for the Fantastic Four. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey guys, yeah, Marvel or Disney, they have a problem on their hands, I think, with the girl. And again, there's nothing wrong with girl bosses, but it's a little much when they're doing nothing pushing at us. We want to be entertained. Are you not entertained? That's the meme. But still, we don't need to get preached to. This is kind of preachy. But either way, I always wanted to see a good Fantastic Four. I've seen every other one. But I'm still going to check this one out. But I'm not as excited. But they might turn it around, who knows. But hope you like what you want to see more. You like it? Comment down below. And then finally, subscribe. And I hit you with this one right here. I hope you had an awesome night. And the rest of your day goes really well. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.